What do we do now? The question slipped out before I could stop it. The restaurant lights behind us switched off one by one. The warmth disappeared. The food was gone. The comfort was gone. Reality remained. We were homeless, both of us. For a moment, neither of us had an answer. Cars passed. The city kept moving. People hurried home. Meanwhile, I was standing on a sidewalk with a suitcase containing everything I owned. Ethan shoved his hands into his pockets, then immediately frowned. The muggers had taken everything: his wallet, his phone, his watch, everything. A bitter smile crossed his face. "Looks like we're in the same club now." I laughed softly. "The homeless club? The membership requirements seem unfair." Despite everything, I smiled. Then an idea appeared. The coffee shop. More specifically, the small storage room behind the coffee shop. Years ago, Mr. Jenkins had converted part of it into a rest area for staff working overnight shifts. It wasn't much, but it had a roof. And right now, a roof sounded like luxury. "I might know somewhere." Ethan looked at me. "Somewhere legal?" "Probably." His eyebrow lifted. "Probably," I laughed. "Come on." 20 minutes later, Mr. Jenkins was staring at us in disbelief. He listened quietly while I explained, never interrupting, never judging. When I finally finished, he sighed heavily. "You can stay here tonight." Relief hit me so hard my knees almost gave out. "Really?" He nodded. "It's not much." When he opened the storage room door, I understood immediately. Not much was accurate. The room was tiny: a few shelves, cleaning supplies, storage boxes, a small lamp, and one narrow bed. One single bed. Mr. Jenkins handed us a blanket. A single blanket, then wished us good night and left. The door closed. Silence filled the room. I stared at the bed, then at Ethan, then back at the bed. Ethan did exactly the same thing. "This is ridiculous," I laughed, mostly because panicking seemed unhelpful. A little. For several seconds, neither of us moved. The situation was obvious. No couch, no chair, no extra mattress, just one tiny bed. Eventually, we sat down on opposite sides of it. The mattress dipped slightly beneath our weight. The room suddenly felt smaller, warmer, strangely intimate. I folded my hands together, trying not to think about it, trying not to think about Ethan sitting only a few feet away, trying not to think about anything. Then Ethan looked at me. "Tell me about her." I didn't need to ask who. "Grandma." My chest tightened instantly. For a moment I stared at my hands. Then the words started coming. And once they started, they wouldn't stop. I told him everything. How she raised me after my parents died. How she taught me to bake. How she always carried candy in her purse. How she never forgot a birthday. How she worked herself to exhaustion so I could have opportunities she never had. I told him about movie nights, about burnt cookies, about long talks in the kitchen, about every little memory I was terrified of forgetting. The more I talked, the harder it became. My voice cracked, then cracked again, and suddenly tears were falling down my face. I looked away immediately, embarrassed, humiliated, weak. But Ethan didn't pretend not to notice. Instead, he moved closer, slowly, carefully, as though giving me every opportunity to stop him. Then his arm wrapped around my shoulders. That was all it took. The moment I felt his arm around me, I broke. Completely. I leaned into him and cried. Not the polite tears I'd shown people at the funeral. Real tears, painful tears, the kind that come from losing the person you love most. Ethan didn't tell me everything would be okay, didn't offer empty promises. He simply held me, one hand brushing gently through my hair, the other wrapped securely around me, steady, patient, safe. For the first time since Grandma died, I felt like I could breathe again. Eventually, my tears slowed, then stopped. Only then did I realize I was practically curled against him. Heat rushed into my cheeks. I immediately tried to sit up. Sorry. Ethan looked genuinely confused. For what? I opened my mouth, then closed it again, because I didn't actually know. A small smile appeared on his face, then his eyes drifted somewhere far away. My mother used to make pancakes every Sunday. I blinked. What? His smile softened. The entire house would smell like vanilla. I found myself smiling despite everything. If I slept too late, she'd drag me out of bed. A laugh escaped me. That sounds terrifying. It was. His smile widened slightly. But she always saved the first pancake for me. Something in his voice made my heart ache. Not because of the story, because of the sadness behind it. The longing, the loss. You miss her. His eyes met mine. For a moment, he didn't answer. Then he nodded. Every day. Without thinking, I reached for his hand. Our fingers touched, then stayed that way. Neither of us pulled away. The silence that followed felt different. Not awkward, not uncomfortable, just close. Like somehow two lonely people had finally found someone who understood. Eventually, reality returned. The clock on the wall showed nearly 3 in the morning. I looked at the bed, then at Ethan, then back at the bed. We should sleep. His eyes followed mine. Immediately, both of us looked away. The awkwardness returned at full force. I swallowed, hard. The truth was simple. I had never shared a bed with a man before, not once, not ever, and now there was no alternative. No couch, no floor space, nothing, just the bed. My heart started beating faster. This was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We were homeless, exhausted, emotionally destroyed, and somehow I was worried about sleeping beside Ethan. Eventually, exhaustion won. I climbed onto one side of the mattress. Ethan climbed onto the other. The bed immediately felt too small. Far too small. We both faced the same direction, determined to create as much distance as possible, which wasn't much. The room went quiet. I closed my eyes, trying to sleep, trying not to think, trying not to notice Ethan behind me, his warmth, his breathing, his presence. It didn't work. My body seemed painfully aware of him, which made absolutely no sense. How could I feel like this about someone I barely knew? Then again, maybe I didn't barely know him. Maybe months of coffee and conversations had become something more without either of us noticing. The thought made my heart race even faster. A cold draft slipped through the room. I shivered, then again, then a third time. The blanket wasn't enough. The room felt freezing. Behind me, Ethan shifted slightly. You're cold. I'm fine. Another shiver betrayed me immediately. A quiet chuckle came from behind. No, you're not. I pulled the blanket higher. It didn't help. A moment later, Ethan spoke again. Sophia. Trust me. My heart skipped. Before I could ask what he meant, his arm settled gently around my waist, slowly, carefully, giving me every opportunity to move away. I didn't. Then he moved closer. His chest pressed lightly against my back. Warmth immediately surrounded me. My entire body went still, not because I was afraid, because suddenly I was aware of everything. The warmth, the strength, the comfort, the safety. Ethan was only trying to keep me warm. I knew that. He was helping, nothing more. So why was my heart racing? Why did my stomach flutter? Why did being held feel like this? I had never experienced anything like it before. My body seemed determined to betray me. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying desperately to calm down, trying desperately not to think about the fact that Ethan's arm remained around my waist. But it was impossible, because for the first time in my life, a man was holding me, and for the first time in a very long time, I felt protected, safe, wanted, not because of money, not because somebody needed something from me, just because I was me. Another cold draft slipped through the room. Ethan's arm tightened slightly. Better? A smile appeared before I could stop it. Much better. Minutes passed, then more. Eventually, my racing heartbeat slowed. Sleep finally pulled me under. The next thing I knew, sunlight was filtering through the small window. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then I felt it. Warmth. Solid. Steady. My eyes slowly opened and immediately widened. At some point during the night, everything had changed. I wasn't lying in front of Ethan anymore. Somehow I had completely turned around. My head was resting on his chest, one arm draped across his stomach, one leg tangled with his, as if I had spent the entire night holding on to him. Heat exploded across my face. Oh my God, what was I doing? I should move, immediately, right now. But before I could, a deep voice rumbled beneath my cheek. "Good morning, Sophia." I froze, completely. My eyes slowly lifted and found Ethan already awake, looking down at me, amused, aware, and very much enjoying my embarrassment.